is a chakra scan reading for the child. Okay, I have 3 crystals here. I'm going to go ahead and surround us in some positive space for the reading. And I'm using my Tiger's Eye Jasper. Okay, so the first thing coming through is it feels like the last reading brought up some more stuff to clear. It feels like that kind of surfaced some things. And it feels like your guides are definitely clearing you of that. Like they are clearing you of more and they're able to get to deeper things, it feels like. But it feels like deeper things are going to bring up some emotions. So the deeper they go, probably the more you're going to feel some kind of emotional response. Okay, and they're showing me some kind of Kundalini activation, but it doesn't feel like it's happened yet. It feels more like it's on its way. So it's kind of something that they are preparing you for and they're clearing you so that they can do that. And also, that kind of snaps all of your chakras into alignment as well. Um, and it makes it easier to happen in general the more that your chakras are aligned properly, and the more that there's already an energy that's coming through them more quickly, more easily, more fluently. But it feels like your chakras are definitely spinning a lot more than they were. It feels like in general there's just a lot more activity with your chakras, but in a good way. Like they're spinning, they are clearing themselves, and it feels like they're being activated more. It feels like there are a lot of supporting chakras that are waking up and they're getting cleansed off. They're kind of shaking off, they're kind of shaking the dust off of themselves and they're being activated. And a lot of the ones that just weren't needed before, now they're sort of coming to life. And now they are allowed to be activated. Because it feels like if they don't really have a use, then there's not really a point to them being in operation if they don't have anything to do. So if there is no operation, then there's no point really of them operating. Feels like there are some chakras around you as well in your aura, and these specifically have to do with like deflecting energy from others, and so like psychic protection. And these are definitely coming to life. So these are just constantly spinning around you, and it kind of feels like they are looking for things. They're looking for things to target. And these are just natural defenses. Everybody comes in with natural defenses in their auric field, and everybody comes in with energy centers that are specifically for that, even though people don't really necessarily know about that, because people tend to focus on only the 7 chakras that correspond to body parts versus really just energy. And we're infinite beings. So the amount of chakras that you can use or need, the amount of energy centers, it's more, with my readings anyway, it's more based off of your soul and your energy versus corresponding to places within your physical body only. And that's just the way that it comes up in a lot of the readings. And I've found that there are a heck of a lot more than only 7 or 13. And then there are just weird ones, like like these. Um, but these are spinning. But they don't really spin like this in the same way that a lot of the other chakras do. They're more spinning around you, kind of like you're a planet and they are orbiting you. Um, but these can kind of zigzag around when they need to. Um, so they're there to clear your space, and they're also there to target things. So if you're picking up on an energy, they can sort of rush to that area, and they can help deflect those energies away from you. So your guides definitely would want you to strengthen um, these chakras. But what's odd is what's actually coming in is more you taking care of your physical body. Um, it feels like having physical energy and stamina, and taking care of your health. It feels like eating greens and drinking water and exercising and just taking care of your physical health um, will help to cleanse not only your physical body, but it will actually, well, I'm dropping my tiger's eye, um, and it will help to maintain your chakras as well. It will help to cleanse your chakras, and it will assist them in functioning and in activating. So it feels like as you are raising your energy, um, in an energetic way, in a spiritual way, it feels like your body, um, almost like your body needs to follow suit. Excuse me, but also like your body naturally does. You're going to find that it is drawn to higher things, higher foods. And as you raise your energy more, you'll find that foods will start to bother you more. And that's just like a natural reaction to your energy. Your energy is going to raise more and more because of all the intense things that your guides are clearing you with. And then it's important to eat higher energy foods. So lower energy foods would be heavier foods, And foods that cloud you more, things like caffeine, sugar, meat, heavier foods, more toxic foods. So it's important to eat more greens and focus on maintaining your physical body as well. But at the same time, I feel like it should be done in a relaxed way. Even if it is a discipline, you don't have to go so overboard that it becomes like a stressful thing, because then that isn't going to end up doing what you would want. That's going to more end up closing down energy centers versus opening them up and flushing them out and activating them. But you don't really have to do so much focusing on like all these different chakras to get them to activate or strengthen or this and that, or have a kundalini awakening or anything like that. You don't have to do all these different intense visualizations. I'm going to visualize this one and this one and this one all day long, and it's really time consuming and just plain annoying probably after a while. It feels like there are certain things that you are able to do, that you would have time to do, that are just disciplines, but at the same time not so overly so, not so overboard that you are just going to kill yourself with stress, um, which will still do the opposite of what you're wanting. Because it's also about the emotion that you're in, the emotion that you are putting out. Is it a relaxed emotion? However, there are emotions that will come up as you are clearing yourself, and those need to be allowed to release. So you can't wallow in them, but at the same time, they need a place to go. So it feels like cry if you need to, let emotions come up if they are there, even in the opposite way. If it's happiness, let that come up. Because it feels like stored energy needs to release. And your guides are sort of bringing that up. They're sort of triggering stored pockets of energy to release and to be able to release, that have sort of been stuck in there for a really long time, for a very long time, with some past lives, childhood, different things. So if you've had energy stored somewhere for a while, you might have a reaction when it releases, especially if there's a thought form attached to it and the thought form is coming out. And the thought form was created out of some kind of emotion, and also that can feel like yours if it's coming out and it's something that you have fed and that you have identified with as your own thought or your own feeling, when really it was the thought forms. Then as it's coming out and it is feeling this certain thing that it was programmed with, um, and you're identifying with it. So the point is, you might feel emotions as things are releasing, and that's fine. That's natural. So allow it to come up, but at the same time, don't dwell or wallow in it or sit in it. They're sending me a feeling of deep breathing as well. This is something that allows emotions to pass through. For some reason, breathing really connects you to the emotional body. And when you're breathing really, really deeply, it allows more toxic emotions to release, or even like stored, it can be stored joy or happiness that just couldn't be expressed or was stifled for whatever reason. It can be any emotion, and it's stuck in there. So in that case, then even something like joy or happiness or fulfillment can actually become something negative, because it can be something that's just stuck in there. So it's like it gets stuffy, it gets stale. Even if initially it was something positive, now it's just this old stale energy that's just kind of stored in there along with all of the other stuff. So that needs to be released too. Your guides are giving this analogy. It's like if you have a purse and you're you have you're putting things in the purse, and you've put things in the purse for a long time, or a long time ago you put things in the purse and you hadn't cleaned the purse out in a long time. Eventually you might clean it out, and for all you know, there's like a decade old moldy sandwich in there or something, and so you have to just get it out. And then the bag is new again and the bag is clean. This Kundalini activation that they're talking about is definitely getting closer and closer to happening. It feels like they're definitely pushing for this to happen soon, and it feels like there are a lot of other things that they are activating, and it's as you're clearing things, it's because you're clearing things. The fact that you're clearing so much old energy is enabling them to activate a lot of things, and that's really kind of answering some of these questions as well, of things happening with your third eye, your crown chakra. So it feels like some of this is also like psychic abilities and psychic ability chakras that are being activated. And it also has to do with your frequency getting higher and getting clearer, because as you let go of a lot of lower things that are dragging you down and holding your vibration lower because it's heavier, as you release those things and you get lighter, it's like a balloon. You're going to float up more, and then you have a higher frequency. So this causes a lot of things to activate, but it's really all centered around this idea that you are cleansing yourself. You're removing a lot of negative energy and you're removing a lot of old stale energy that's just been there for a while and has just sort of dampened your field. And it feels like as you remove all of that, as you're removing that more and more, things are just naturally activating. And it feels like other things, like how they're saying exercising and um, eating higher vibrational foods. This is just kind of a natural thing that's going to go along with that, and it's going to help it more. And you're going to feel even better. You're going to feel higher. You're going to feel clearer. Also, just laughing and being relaxed, being joyful, being clear, being in the present, being mindful of staying in the present as much as possible. It feels like these things, all of these things are automatically helping to clear you, and it feels like these are just sort of supportive things. The breathing as well, but the breathing, I mean, if you wanted to do the breathing, you know, every day, you could. If you were meditating and you wanted to incorporate that, you could. Um, but it doesn't feel like it's necessary all the time. It feels like more when you feel to do it, but also specifically when you are clearing things, and as a result, there are emotions that are coming up. Then it feels like doing deep breathing will just sort of give them like a gateway. It will give them a door um, to just more easily just flush out, is what it feels like. And also where you don't have to be feeling all of it, because a lot of it is just going to release through the breathing. So it's going to release in an energetic way where you're not going to feel it as intensely. Um, but I feel like some of these things are deep and you're going to feel it no matter what you do. But I do feel like that will help it. That would help it release faster, and it would help it release in a less intense way. Even if sometimes it still does feel kind of intense, depending on what you're clearing. It doesn't feel like there's a way around that. When you're clearing certain things, just because of the intensity of them and the intensity of the experience. Oh, wow. This is so weird reading this first question. I hadn't read it before, but actually, in the very beginning, when I was setting up for the reading, I already had your picture out and I was getting this feeling of you're clearing all these things, but it actually feels like you are going to be teaching something that has to do with this. It feels like as you are removing all of this, because you have, it feels like once you're to a point where you've cleared a certain amount of it, it feels like more and more you're going to be operating in a different way where you are teaching where you're teaching others, and it has something to do with this, and it feels like that's just going to be happening naturally. I don't know exactly how that's going to happen or exactly how that's going to manifest. I definitely feel like this kundalini thing is going to that's going to manifest before this does. But I feel like this first question that you're asking, I feel like a lot of it actually has to do with that. And I'm even seeing like writing, like automatic writing, that you could do that at times to connect to this. But your guides are saying that you're doing really well, like you have cleared a lot and a lot of really intense things in a pretty short amount of time. It feels like it feels like once you knew what to do, and once you kind of knew what there was to clear and how to do it, and you got a grasp on that, a firm grasp on that, it feels like then you just went for it. And there are a lot of things. Um, they're saying there's a lot of things that still need to be cleared, but that you are, it's like you are grasping this. You've learned how to clear yourself. And they're saying that that's like an important goal or an important accomplishment, to just learn how. And then it can happen a lot faster if it's your intent to really clear yourself, which it is and which it has been. And so they're saying that has gone at a pretty quick pace, just because of your willingness to look at things, your willingness to evaluate yourself, to go within, and to accomplish the task of removing things that aren't yours, but that you have claimed for yourself, or that you have identified with or owned. And you are removing those things, which they're saying takes a lot of courage. So they're saying that they're very proud of you for um, for um, they're saying that stretch, making that stretch. Um, for reaching out in that way. They're saying that you've stretched yourself, that you have expanded, you've grown, you've come into more insights. And so now it feels like more chakras are needed than were needed before. And it's because of that, and so a lot of them are activating. And now it just feels like your guides are sending a lot of energy for more to be activated, for more to come alive. But this question one has to do with like a teaching thing. It feels like you're gaining insights, and it feels like subconsciously too. So you haven't had all of these realizations yet. But just the fact that they're showing me automatic writing, I think that in part you have um, hit the nail on the head with this idea of it being a gift for channeling. Because automatic writing definitely has to do with channeling something. And this does have to do with speaking, writing, but also in an intuitive way. So even if you're not straight up channeling, this doesn't all feel like straight up channeling to me. Um, but still, it is a form of channeling. It's still like channeling. Um, like it's still like straight up channeling, but in a different way. It's almost like guided speaking, or like you are receiving something, you're still receiving downloads and you're saying them, but at the same time, you're not like going into some trance and you're just hearing um, all of these words and you're repeating them, and you know it's from this certain being and you're speaking for them. It's more like um, you are being allowed and enabled to express something that's coming through you that your guides are putting there, but at the same time, it's yours, and it's like you're kind of meshing with them to be able to deliver something that you've learned. And at the same time, they're kind of putting their touch on it at the same time. But it's more like you working together. So it's some of your knowledge and coupled with theirs at the same time, and then even learning to allow that through and allow them to add their touches to it is still something that is being learned. So they're saying it's an accomplishment. All these things are. They're saying that most people don't do this till they're much older. They don't do this kind of self observation and this kind of reflecting, and they don't want to until they are a lot older. It's like as you start to get to the end of your life, the end of your journey in your current incarnation, then you want to look back and reflect on where you've been and who you've been and where you've come from and what you've accomplished or haven't done right and all these different things. And that's kind of a natural thing that comes up. Whereas you're embracing it at a time um, at an age in your life that wouldn't be as natural to do. So they're saying that that is something that they definitely applaud you for. And they think that that's very wise to do, because you'll be able to accomplish so much more in your lifetime just by doing that. This crown chakra is definitely being activated. And there are some kind of water energies coming in with that a little bit. Some of this has to do with flushing out, and also flushing out emotions, and then it just has to do with emotions. in general. And it feels like specifically, um, oh, now I'm going to have to get into a whole other thing here um, to explain that. So what the Council Eye Channel teaches is that you have different bodies, and you also have different chakras for the different bodies. And a lot of them, though, are the same type of chakra. They just act a little bit differently according to that particular body. But they're literally in the same place, structured in the same way, and doing the same types of things. So they're almost like repeats in a sense. But it's like one is for the mental body, one is for the etheric body, one is for the emotional body. So this, but it feels like in particular, especially, most intensely, it feels like the crown chakra in the emotional body is really being cleansed and activated. But it feels like both the mental and it feels like all of these bodies are being cleansed, because your mental body is being cleansed of beliefs, um, and things that you've held on to since childhood in the way of how you look at yourself and how you perceive yourself. So those are all beliefs that are being removed. I perceive myself in this way or that way, or I haven't been able to see myself as this or to accomplish this yet. And now you realize that I can achieve that and that I can see myself in this or that positive way. And that's all been by going within and looking at things that appear to be more negative, but you actually come out seeing yourself in a more positive light. So your guides are saying that it's like the light at the end of the tunnel. You're going through all this removing of negativity, and it's hard to do. But then you come to a lot of positive understandings about yourself. And then there's a lot of emotions that are releasing, not just um, in in the way of you are literally releasing emotional energy that's been stored there for a long time, but also you'll find that you are going to react to things differently. You're not going to be as responsive or affected, um, reactive. You're going to sort of let loose and let go. So your personality is going to end up a little bit more um, like stable, secure, and more like solid or unwavering, like where your emotions are not so easily affected or manipulated by anyone or anything else. And this is all transpiring. And it's transpiring at a fairly quick pace. And there is a lot more that is happening behind the scenes that you don't realize even that your guides are doing, but also in the way of how you're clearing yourself. It's like you won't realize it until it hits you. So some things are hitting you, and it can't hit you all at once because that would be overwhelming. But it's like you have these realizations about yourself more and more. And sometimes that can be the result of literally you just cleared something and boom, you feel differently immediately, you act differently, you think differently, you believe differently immediately. But generally, most of the time, it's you having a realization from something that you had already cleared, maybe even like a month ago. And so these are just going to keep bubbling up, these realizations, and you're going to find that there are patterns that you were in, even like of thought processes, and again, of emotional responses. And those are going to start clearing, and you're going to realize more and more like you're going to have someone say something to you one day, for instance, or you have some kind of exchange with someone and you realize, okay, if I had had that even 2 months ago, I would have responded like this. I would have responded with this emotion or this behavior or this way of speaking. And now I don't. Now I don't feel affected by it. Or now I can let it go. Or even now I realize that this person has really been meaning this all along, or that it really came from this motive or this intention versus the way that I was thinking, what it was meaning to me. And so you realize that it was just what it was meaning to you out of things that you were attached to versus what it was meaning to them and things that they were holding on to. So sometimes we misinterpret other people around us out of these beliefs and these feelings that we've um, clinched onto for a long time, that we've held dear. So you're releasing them, they're not dear to you, they're toxic to you. And you're seeing the positive benefits of removing these attachments. But that's what's going on with your chakras right now. It is just this sort of spiral. It's this sort of chain reaction, all having to do with the amount of deep clearing and cleansing that you are doing. And with the Kundalini, that's your upper chakras and your lower chakras as well. So all of your chakras are being aligned. As you're asking about your lower chakras too, this is happening with all of your chakras. In different areas, they're being activated, but I do feel like some of the upper ones they're coming along more quickly, but I feel like a big part of it is whatever is needed now. But the lower chakras, I feel like, are expanding, where more and more they need more chakras, more supportive chakras to start activating as well. But it does feel like it started with the upper chakras first, from the heart area upwards, and then it's moving down as it needs to. Okay, so that is the end of this reading. I'm going to go ahead and show you these other two crystals that I had here. They're all the same color, and actually they all more are corresponding to lower chakras. So I have my jasper pyramid here, and I have my citrine. So even though they're going on a lot about upper chakras, I've chosen all lower chakra stones, oddly enough. Okay, so that is the end of this reading. Thank you very much, the child, for allowing me to read you, and I truly hope that this reading has benefited you. Thank you very much. Namaste.